This is a quick look at your first ever Mazda 3 Turbo. It is for the 2021 model year. Minimal changes on the outside, which I like. They kind of keep the minimalistic design and put everything under the hood where it's important. So up front, everything still stays the same. Big grille, LED lights, LED turn signals, no fog lights, which is nice for me. It's an unnecessary item. And first big difference is the 18-inch gloss black rims. They look really nice. I'd like them better if they were a traditional 5-spoke, but these suit the vehicle very nicely. You do get black mirror caps with the turbo option. Sorry, turbo model. I guess it's an option as well if you want it or if you don't. And the last big change as we go around to the rear quarter is the turbo badging on the passenger side. And there it is right there. I like that Mazda went minimal with this and they didn't put any badging on the side or anything unnecessary to make it scream, I'm a turbo, I'm a turbo. So good job on keeping things minimal and still effective. Let's do the drive in the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. So under the hood, it's Mazda's Skyactiv engine, and it's a 2.5 liter turbo 4. If you put 87 octane in, your power figures are 227 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Bump that up to 93 octane, and now you're at 250 horsepower and a whopping 320 pound-feet of torque. If those engine specs sound familiar, yes, they have been in other Mazda offerings. It's all-wheel drive, and no, there is not a manual option. And I'll tell you why there's no manual option. Very simply put, there's no demand for it. Even with a massive turbo engine that Mazda's put in here, their research and development team, as well as the sales team and the marketing team, kind of got together and they're like, no one's buying manuals, so should we spend all these millions of dollars of developing or revamping their existing manual transmission for the big turbo engine? And the answer was no. And as much of an enthusiast, I knew that I was going to stumble on that, that I am, it makes sense. And everyone's like, save the manuals, hashtag save the manuals. And that's all good and fine to support the cause, but unless people are physically, buying manual transmission vehicles, they're gonna become extinct. And this isn't a video on that, but I thought for sure that Mazda would put in a manual transmission option in the 3 Turbo, but that's just not the case. If you're also wondering why Mazda chose to do the turbo route as opposed to bringing back the MazdaSpeed, Mazda is now a premium brand, not a luxury brand. They're a premium brand, and a MazdaSpeed, sure, it was great when it came out, I think in the 2090s. And there was even, I think, a first gen and a second gen Mazda 3 that came in MazdaSpeed, but it just doesn't align with their branding right now. And the comparison I make is when Acura tossed the RSX, must have been 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, a long time ago. Their reasoning was having a performance little tiny hatch didn't align with what they were doing, and as a luxury automaker, just didn't fit with them. And Mazda, just not luxury, but still very premium, very upscale, very classy vehicle now with their new vision. The MazdaSpeed just doesn't fit. Will it come back at some point? Maybe, if there's demand for it. But as of right now, we're getting a turbo for the Mazda 3 as opposed to a true, I use quotation marks, a true MazdaSpeed vehicle. As this is a first drive video, Mazda Canada had put on a first drive program where journalists got the car pretty much for a day, and there was a set drive route, very well planned out by Mazda, I might add, for lots of country roads and twists and turns, and just a good place to open up the vehicle. And I gotta say, as a guy who's owned a Gen 1 Mazda and a Gen 2 Mazda, Mazda 3, sorry, this is such a wonderful move for Mazda to do, to give the buyers who still want the functionality of a compact sedan or a compact hatch, but just boosting so much power into it. And it's not the horsepower that I care about. I don't care about the horsepower, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. For me, it's the torque. The torque really makes the drive exciting, engaging, and enjoyable. And thankfully, Mazda Canada had put in 93 octane before they dropped the car off to me. So having the full suite of 320 horsepower through a wonderful, crisp 6-speed automatic transmission made such a difference. And I found that the handling and the cornering and just the feeling of being planted and secure on the road was remarkable. And I've always liked Mazda for their handling capabilities to begin with, but what they've done here is just put a ton of exclamation marks on it and made it available to the public. So for those of you that want the function, but they also want the fun factor and a lot more power, the Mazda 3 Turbo executes this absolutely perfectly. Now there is a sport mode and there's just a normal mode. There's no eco mode, there's none of that snow or anything else. So thank you, Mazda, just for making it really, really easy. It's black and white. You're either in normal or you're in sport. And when you're in sport, it activates the advanced G vectoring system. And basically what that does is it just makes it more, even more stable and secure on the road. It just really brings you into the corners and twists and turns so smoothly. It gets you out of it as well, and it doesn't do that weird thing where it shifts when you're in the middle of the turn. You put your foot in the brake and it just does that nice, not soft downshift, but it does the right amount of downshifting to get you through the corner. Then you throw your foot back on the gas and you just zoom out. See what I did there? Zoom? No. Anyways, so the driving dynamics are really, really top notch in the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. The front suspension is stiffer on the Turbo model, and that just makes for a more enjoyable driving experience and a more engaging experience. Yeah, you can still run this to do your groceries or take your kids here and there or just go for drives, or it's still a wonderful daily driver. It just happens to have a wickedly good turbo engine in it. And it's a smart move to me on Mazda's behalf, because again, you can't be everything to everyone as far as an automaker goes, but if Mazda is able to, which they have been through the 3 Turbo, give you the best of both worlds, appeal is wider and it just does a better job of becoming a more attractive vehicle. Some additions here are a very, very high definition 360 camera, makes a ton of difference. They have a traffic jam assist technology feature, which is really, really cool. And they have smart brake support for the rear. So it's not just the engine that gets an upgrade. You get a lot of cool features in here. Now, you also get a ton of your standard safety through their iActive Sense. I'll put a list of that on the screen, but it's blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, and a few other cool things. Mazda has given us a premium Bose 12-speaker audio system. It sounds so good. It's crisp, it's clear, it's boomy, and the mids just hit that nice sweet spot. Interesting note on the press material I got from Mazda. The speakers, the two small ones in your A-pillars here, Mazda designed them so they're in line with your ear, and it just gives that extra little bit of attention to detail that helps it stand out. And I've had it cranked up on AM radio and FM, as well as a couple of podcasts. So those are pretty much the three big things people listen to nowadays. And through all of them, it sounded very, very high quality. And I like Bose as an audio maker overall. So really well done there, Mazda. Fuel consumption side, surprisingly low considering what the engine has to offer. It's 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers on city streets. It's 7.5 on the highway, and our blended total comes out to 8.9. Again, all of these liters per 100 kilometers, not too bad. And just to revert back to the beginning of the driving portion, your choice between 87 octane and 93, depends on what you want out of the vehicle. Straight line acceleration out of the Turbo 3 is wonderful. It's fun, it's solid, it's secure, it's planted. Now, it's not head whipping back into the headrest fast, that's more of a supercar thing. But for what this car is and all the power underneath your right foot, it fares very well, and it's an exciting and engaging drive. Straight ahead from 0 to whatever, or if you're doing twists and turns, again, that G vectoring control really helps make it an exciting drive, but it still keeps you planted. And I'm sure I've got no doubt that you can do burnouts and drifts in this, but let's be realistic. The majority of Mazda 3 Turbo drivers are gonna be running on highways and city streets and doing everyday things. But know that if you want to open it up and have a lot of fun, behind the wheel, the 3 turbo, it definitely does. There's a fair amount of torque available at lower RPMs, but once you kind of see that needle climb and you find that sweet spot, the 3 turbo goes from really good to really exceptional, and that's where you feel it now. I found my sweet spot to be around 2750 on the lower end, and once I cracked the 35, maybe 3600 RPM mark, that's when I felt that it really opened up. Overall, the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo is a very smart addition to the Mazda 3 lineup. Just adds that exclamation mark, and it gives consumers a solid option for those that want performance and they don't want to sacrifice any of the comfort or the quality or creature comforts, for that matter, that the Mazda 3 has to offer. You know, the interior is still very well appointed. It's leather seats. It's heated leather seats, for that matter. It's got a heated steering wheel, plus all the technology that comes with it. Very hard to find any flaws, at least based off my one-day drive with the 3 Turbo. Once it becomes available on the media fleet, I will give it a solid week's worth test, and we'll go into more of a detailed perks, quirks, and irks. But this is your first drive video, so overall, I'm pretty happy with it. If you've got any questions on this, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support. Support, man, I don't know, that's the 3rd video in a row where I've kind of stumbled between support and support. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much. I think I've said thank you a lot. We'll say thank you again. Thank you. Be well, be healthy, be safe, and I'll be back sooner than later with my next review.